What up, perps? Kid Copious, back in effect. Purple State Party, you know what we're doing here, man. We're trying to rep America. Common sense and the center. I think I said it backwards this time. America, the center, common sense. And this one goes out to all the parents. You are the first and last line of defense against this bullshit affecting your children. Raise your kids right because they are the future. So fatty cannon for all your moms and pops. There you goes. Yeah. So that little ceremony brings me a lot of contentment. Contentment was something I heard about this week. Maybe last week. I don't know. It all runs together in this brain, for me, I find my contentment, smoking a nice J. I got some really good birthday cake or wedding cake right now. Sipping on some Mountain Dew, sitting back in the chaise lounge, watching the birds, watching the crows call out, the blue jays select their peanuts, the squirrels scurrying about, even the occasional rat. That's my contentment. Finland is often thought of as the world's happiest country. But when you go to Finland and you talk to the Finnish people, about this happiness, it's not happiness. It's contentment. You realize what it is that you can have that makes you content. Happiness is one of those things that comes and goes. Happiness that your team won, sadness that your team lost, blah, 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 on and on. Contentment. Being content in being a fan of that team. Maybe your favorite team is not a perennial winner, but you're content to be a fan of that team. And right now, kids especially, are constantly being told that they're not happy. They're being shown things on the internet, unachievable adventures and products and cars and homes and blah, blah, blah. I've been doing this YouTube thing for quite a few years. I want to be a YouTube star. Until one day when I realized, once you're making that, say, $10,000 a month, you have to keep going. The stress builds and builds and builds. The job I work as a 9 to 5, no matter what happens with the job I'm currently at, I'm going to get a similar job, similar benefits, similar pay, maybe even more. But I'm content with that. I have enough money to do what it is that I want to do. This is my lot in life. These are the cards I was dealt. And I'm going to play them the best I can. And I'm going to be content with that. Because that's reality. We need to deal with reality, not fantasy. We are raising our kids now in a world of fantasy. There's seemingly no bounds to what people can get and achieve and show off. But we're never seeing the dark side of all that. We keep that hidden. We keep the pressures. We keep just the way that some people have to continually perform day in and day out and day in and day out. And as soon as people don't want them anymore, what are they going to do? So find contentment in life. Don't worry so much about happiness. Happiness can be fleeting. Contentment, being content with who you are, nobody could ever take that away from me. Nobody could ever take this away from me. This is who I am. And I'm happy that way. And as long as I can go and watch some birds, I'm going to find that moment of Zen. So find your moment of Zen. And now for some mental irregularities. Yeah. Kicking this one off, Gavin Newsom. This is just a rich, white, elitist politician who plays to the extreme, and he's unaffected by his own policies. So it's really easy for him to make stupid policies because they don't really affect him. When he wanted to go out, he ignored the mask mandates. He ignored the lockdowns. Come on. Lots of politicians did. We know that. We can finger point and all that. But, this guy crashed the state of California. We are in a deficit. He spent the last year talking about, we had all this extra money, that we got from the feds. And he's blown it. And he hasn't changed anything for the better here in California. I mean, if you think a few green cars and a few more solar panels really makes a difference, then you're fucking crazy. You're brainwashed. But he's got his sights set on the White House. We'll see. He says he's not going to challenge Biden, but he's a professional liar. Newsom touring the country as even he can't stand being in California anymore. Yeah, and he's trying to take his far left politics into red states to reach the Democrats there. And, it's worked a little bit. Places like Austin, Texas are completely unhinged. But for the most part, people don't buy into what he's saying. People don't buy into this elitist white dude going around talking about how elitist white people are bad. He's not being honest, folks. Biden slips up, talks about making sure Trump isn't the next president. It was, said some time ago, but we just have demonstrated that he will not take power by, if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again. Yeah, and that's what they're doing. I mean, a lot of these politicians are corrupt. But when one side controls the media and controls the DAs, this is what happens. And if you think this is a good idea, well, that's only because the shoe's on the right foot right now. You try putting that shoe on another foot, you might not like it. One thing uniting Americans, regardless of party, they hate Washington. Yeah. Good news for us, right? 60% of Americans disapprove of Biden's job performance. 65% disapprove of the Democratic leadership and job performance in the Congress. And 68% disapprove of the Republicans in Congress. Those are great numbers, folks. I mean, really, is that what represents us? Is it not painfully obvious that this right-left shit doesn't work? 76% of respondents said they have either little or no confidence in American public's ability to make political decisions. Look how much that's changed. 14%. One of the reasons, like we're going to see, is like you have a radically left mayor in Chicago. They get sick of her. They vote her out, and then you just vote in a carbon copy, except this time it's a man. It's mind-boggling. Liberal city planning to use $20 million in 6 months to care for surging migrant population. Again, that policy doesn't work. Complete shithole. Yeah, the Cash App founder, Lee, was murdered in a rich part of town. And Israel retaliates against Palestine. I mean, the craziness that is going on ever since Biden took power. Everything is falling apart, and it's right there. And this isn't about I'm right and the Democrats are wrong. This is just the Democrats are wrong. It doesn't matter who's right, folks. You don't get bonus points for that. And as they ignore fentanyl, Coolio died from fentanyl overdose. Isn't that great? There you go. And that's not a problem. That's not something worth solving. No. They want to run around and solve anything but the actual problems. That's sad. And this is their plan right here. Wait till they attack to start filming. But nobody ever wants to cover the other side. Nobody ever wants to say that maybe it is some of these Democrat policies that are failing. Forget focusing in on the rhetoric from the other side and doing everything you can to shield the Democrats from the truth. Why don't you just call them out? That's what you're there for. That's what the media is supposed to be doing. Yeah. And this is what we get. Family of Oakland toddler killed by stray bullet. They put stray in there. Decries DA's plan to not pursue jail time for suspects. That's the DA, by the way. Obviously not the little boy. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you want to look like an activist, then I'm going to assume you're an activist. And she has the look of an activist. And that's what she's doing. This kid was in the car with his parents, driving to Fremont, California. Those three geniuses were shooting at another car, and a bullet went through the window and hit the 2-year-old in the head, almost 2-year-old in the head. Imagine what the parents must have been going through. But what does the DA want to say about it? They want broader possibilities for healing and non-carceral forms of accountability. No jail time. They want to give the gang members a second chance. Well, you know who doesn't get a second chance? That kid, right? Does he get a second chance? Little Jasper there? No. He doesn't get a second chance. So why should these pieces of shit? They were 22, 24, and 34. Come on. They knew what they were doing. I don't care that it was a stray. They were shooting on an occupied freeway at each other. And what are they going to do about it? Look for ways to not put them in jail. Newly released data shows temperatures unchanged in roughly past 9 years, a blow to the climate change narrative. Which was released by the National Space Science and Technology Center, shows that there's been zero global warming since July of 2015. Super smart guy Steve Malloy, an EPA transition team member for the administration. I'm not sure which administration, but I'm assuming the Biden administration, said just no global warming in 8 years and 9 months, despite 500 billion tons of emissions worth 14% of total man-made CO2. Emissions-driven warming is a hoax. And we are going to bankrupt our society for something that is apparently a hoax. That's like losing the family fortune in a Ponzi scheme. That's what's happening. And our children are going to have to pay for this, and their children are going to have to pay for this, because we are spending so much money on this. Meanwhile, we're not solving any of the real problems. The real problems are being glossed over. Millions and millions of dollars are being funneled into homeless projects all across this country, when you need to arrest people. You need to put them in jail for the drugs, the vagrancy, the crime. You need to take the bull by the horns, but instead you want us just to look at the tail. And the tail is this. Temperatures have not gone up. And yeah, that's what they do label it, an existential threat that needs to be stopped. We need to pour everything into green energy, no matter what it does to our society. And yet, temperatures have not warmed, even though we're emitting a shit ton of stuff. See right here, the Green New Boondoggle. California's power grid needs $9 billion to support its transition to green energy. And you know, in political speak, you do know that like $9.3 billion is going to swell. Just look at the bullet train. All right. That $9 billion is probably going to end up closer to $90 billion when it's all said and done. Because that's probably just the cost to even get it off the ground. And then the JP Morgan CEO says, hey, private property may need to be seized by federal governments and corporations. Yeah. The federal government and large corporations may have to seize property from U.S. citizens to advance climate initiatives. He claims they're not being implemented fast enough to avoid potential climate-related crises. Again, they always like to do that. Possibilities, potential. They don't have any facts, so it all has to be supposition. According to this Dimwit, adequate investments fast enough for grid, solar, wind, and pipeline initiatives? Is he trying to call for eminent domain for green energy, but then they're going to use it for pipelines? I don't know what exactly these pipelines are going to be carrying, but it sounds kind of like oil and gas. So it sounds like he's hedging his bet. He just wants to make money. Oh, wow. Pipeline initiatives. Okay. That should be interesting to see. Oh, God. Before we jump into this Bud Light shit, that movie Paint, not really about Bob Ross, sort of based loosely around the Bob Ross character, but seems like a pretty shitty movie, everything I've read. But anyhow, Bud Light partnerships with transgender TikTok star Dylan Mulvaney prompts backlash. Prompts backlash? No. What it did was it prompted Kid Rock and Travis Tritt to also advertise for Budweiser. You know? Kid Rock's out there shooting Bud Light cans, and Travis Tritt's going to get rid of all Anheuser-Busch products. Well, good luck with that. Anheuser-Busch owns a lot of stuff. Stella or I don't know. I don't drink. So I can't even protest this by not drinking. But I'm not protesting it because the truth of the matter is it was a singular can that was given to Dylan. That's kind of funny. Beverage pretending to be a beer. Yeah, I was never much of a Bud Light guy. I liked Coors Light, but then again, I just like water. So that's probably why. Raytheon unveils new Dylan McMulvaney brand Patriot missile. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, that's what advertisers do. They go after the hot commodity, and then they piss you off, and so you end up getting double the results. You have Kid Rock, and you got to realize, some of Kid Rock's fans might be like, hey, I'm not going to drink Bud Light anymore, but at the end of the day, all that really matters is people are saying Bud Light. That one, I think, is a big nothing burger. I mean, it was a commemorative can. It really didn't have anything to do with anybody other than Dylan. It wasn't released to the general public, so it's kind of stupid to rail about it. This one, however, this really so-called chaps my ass. Nike faces online uproar over paid partnership with trans TikToker Dylan McVaney. Yeah, and why? Because nowadays, to be pro-trans, you have to be anti-woman. You have to set aside women's rights. Look, we had in the Leah Thomas case. Just because the world will treat you as a woman and you think of yourself as a woman, that doesn't make parts disappear. You're still walking around with male parts in front of people. You still are what you are biologically. And that's part of the argument we have going into talking about Nike with the sports bra. We can accept Dylan as a female, but we also don't have to pretend that she is a female athlete deserving of a Nike contract. What about the other women? But then again, Nike, they use slave labor. They pay women less. They spend less on women overall. But this guy, or girl, I'm sorry, Day 87, a trailblazer, because women hike in heels. This is a mockery. Dylan is making a mockery of the process, and you can see it in the title. Day 87 of girlhood. You're not a girl. You're a grown-ass woman, I guess. Modern trans superhero. That's what, this is an actor who was in a parody type play and is now possibly parodying this whole thing. Yeah, so Nike, who is best to advertise your sports bra? Well, Chloe Kelly. Okay. I happen to know who she is. I happen to watch the game she scored her goal in. Love her. English player. There she is, running around in her Nike sports bra. Nike wanted a world-class female ambassador to promote their sports bra. Chloe Kelly. Something that was sort of echoed because she is a hot commodity, but there are lots of women athletes out there. Hell, I mean, Griner would have been a better selection. Alex Morgan, Russo, Aslani, Stinia Blackstenius. Marta. Well, I don't know about Marta. Yeah, Marta. We'll throw Marta in there. Don't like her. Wrong team. But there are women athletes out there that lost out on this job once again. And that's the problem that we're facing right now, is that any rational discussion is just labeled as transphobic. And so this kind of crap that sort of undermines the rights of women and makes a mockery of the whole thing, it is distasteful. But then again, who the hell is Nike trying to sell to at this point? I mean, let's be honest. Most of us left them a long time ago. As if women have not been marginalized enough. Why is somebody who doesn't need a bra advertising a sports bra enough? It's not transphobic, folks. That's the truth. That's what it is. It's a marketing ploy that marginalizes women. You could say that Dylan is a woman all you want, but there are certain facets that need to be grounded in biology and in history. And the history is that women have been marginalized for a long time now, and they finally peek their head out. They're finally in the sun. They're finally getting the attention and respect they deserve. And we're going to try to strip that away by saying some guy who went through male puberty, swam on the men's swim team, didn't do so well, transitioned over to the female swim team, and suddenly was a star. That there isn't something wrong with that. Yeah. And speaking of that same situation, Riley Gaines was assaulted by a transgendered mob. A guy in a dress punched her. And a lot of people think that that's okay because she says the prisoners are running the asylum. Because she stands up for women's rights. Standing up for women's rights is not necessarily being anti-trans. It's simply recognizing that no matter what society deems, there are still physical differences between men and women. That is just the facts. And again, if we can't deal with the facts, how are we going to deal with it? Oh, God. The judge presiding over the Donald Trump case donated money to Joe Biden. Lock him. I mean, this is one of those most type cartoons. We've got all of that crap. We know there's corruptions on both sides of the fence. It'd just be nice if maybe all of them would be put on trial for it. Guy getting mugged in Manhattan takes solace in fact that prosecutors locking up Trump. This is just ad nauseum at this point. I mean, obviously, they're focused on the wrong things. They're focused on the political game, not the everyday lives of everyday people. We know this. Trump boasts no felon has ever had this many felony counts. So, our Attorney General for the state of California is standing up to an absurd legislative attack on transgender school children. And again, this isn't about this case or other cases like it that are up on the screen right now. This is about where in the frick are your priorities. You're going to stand up to other states' laws, but you're not going to enforce your own laws. You're not going to do gun enhancements. You're not going to do a crackdown on fentanyl. You're not going to deport illegal aliens who are selling fentanyl in San Francisco. You're going to protect criminals. You're going to pass gun control laws, but you're not going to use gun enhancements. You're not going to go hard on illegal guns or illegal gun sales or gun theft. You're not going to treat that. But no, you'll fly all the way across the country to defend a 12-year-old's right to play sports. That's what you're joining? That's what you're really going after? Last week, you were going after Microsoft and Google and oil companies. This week, you're going after other states. But you're not going after the criminals that are plaguing California. 18 to 24-year-olds are going to mostly die from fentanyl. That's the leading cause of death. And you're going to worry about some transgender girl in West Virginia. That's your priority. Okay. You already kind of touched on this. This is idiotic. I mean, they're literally just electing the same person. But, this is what I wanted to point out. Our Revolution, a powerful progressive advocacy organization, pushes to win more offices in local and state offices. Yeah, that's the problem. They're starting with the ground up. They have a plan. I hate to tell you this, but unless you want to live under the power of our revolution, we have to pull it in the middle. Because the left is decimating the right in terms of picking up key positions in government and silencing any accomplishments coming out of the Republicans. So we're going to have to duck and dodge and sneak in under the wire somehow. Because we got to put an end to this just... yeah. Of course, Johnson said defund the police. And he's going to tax the rich. Sick of the same old crime and violence. Chicago tries electing a Democrat this time. Yeah, that's exactly it. AOC posed for a picture with libs of TikTok. And when libs of TikTok pointed out the lawsuit was, the ethics complaint, AOC responded, I actually didn't because you're actually super transphobic. Oh, my God. They're just going to throw their labels around. Back in my day, you avoided labels. But they like the labels now. Anyhow, I just can't do this anymore. I'm just so like dead inside over these kind of things. You know, one side gets a pass, one side doesn't. And everybody thinks that ultimately that's going to work. And I've yet to see where that works at all. These progressives, I don't know what is their victory. What is their victory that Leah Thomas won a race? I don't understand what ultimately they think the victory is going to be, other than they stay in power. Anyhow, Matt Walsh jumps out of bushes at Easter egg hunt to inform kids bunnies laying eggs is biologically impossible. Yeah. So stupid. I don't have anything witty to say about that. Budweiser replaces Clydesdales with cows dressed as horses. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what's in poor taste anymore. ChatGPT launches every nuke on planet after being asked to write another Sonic the Hedgehog fanfic. There's actually a mayor in Australia that's suing ChatGPT because Chat keeps putting out that he was convicted of bribery and spent time in prison, when in actuality he was the whistleblower. And he can't seem to get it removed, so he's suing them. Technology, folks, it'll always bite us in the ass, one way or the other, since the dawn of time. Yeah, not since the dawn of time, because for a while their technology was very useful. It's now really it's getting frightening. Toddlers discover more of Biden's classified documents inside Easter eggs. I don't care about the documents, but that's fun. Well, I hope that was fun, maybe a little enlightening. I hope it got you to think. If you liked it, please like, subscribe. Let's multiply. But no matter which side you're on right now, Democrat or Republican, left, right, whatever, what percentage do they represent you? I mean, who is anybody represented in the 90 to 100% range? The 50 to 80% range? Are you holding on to a political party simply for one issue and one issue only? Well, why aren't we just moving that one issue into the middle here and adding the other parts of the other party that you like? Why are we not simply picking apart both sides, taking the good ideas, the common sense, the rational way of looking at things, the human way of looking at things, even the Christian way of looking at things? You know? Why aren't we taking those good bits and putting them together in the middle? Because all around us, every single influencer in our lives wants to pull us to these extremes. Imagine a party that can represent you at a high percentage. That's what we need in America. We don't need a party that can hold on to you for one issue and one issue on either side. We've seen a lot of that today. And over almost every episode I've ever done, we've seen how the sides are being pushed further and further apart. It's the insanity. And the politicians are involved. The media is involved. I mean, you look at Roe versus Wade. Why did governors rush to ban abortion? Who was that playing to? That was playing to the extremes. And I've said it time and time again. That's all they're doing now. They're locking up the extremes and forcing the rest of us to abide by one side or the other based on one singular issue. And that's fucking stupid. We need to make that change. We have upcoming elections. The people in the middle need to speak up. Independent voters need to start voting independently. It might suck, but if we don't start now, it may be too late. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State Party. And so are you. Love one another. Think before you speak. And you know what? Always remember to dance it out.